Oh, good morning to you. Good morning. If I've got this right, it's Wednesday the 14th of November. Is that right? It's that time of day. It's still dark outside. And yeah, I've had my first tea of the morning. And it's a time of contemplation. What we're going to do today. Obviously, this job will get some attention. And it's one of those jobs that sort of grows. The person who many years ago did some of these repairs had put iron brackets along, and yeah, it had done various bits of unpleasantness where it had rusted, and there's been assorted, and it may be said, strange repairs done. This seems to be a sort of render. That is plaster. Yeah, I think that will get some cement, some concrete in there. Some stage during the day, probably. This part of the job, well, this all needs dressing and cleaning and yeah, finishing, but I've got another stone to set that's currently split in two pieces. So plenty to do, plenty to do. Well, can't waste the day. I was interrupted. I'm not complaining, it was a very pleasant interruption. My French neighbour Eric asked me to come and look at his gas installation. He had a suspicion that he might have a leak. So we looked at that, shared some quality time improving my French and his English, but it does mean that I'm now a little bit behind because Impala's coming. He's coming at noon. He said so. And he's going to cut my trees and sort out my orchard. I think he was joking, but, you know, he did say noon, and it's nearly noon, and I don't want to be out here on my own. Right, yes, I have got an orchard. It is not very productive. This is a quince tree, which produced 2 fruits to maturity. It wants pruning, but it's still got leaves on it. That, it's a plum tree, believe it or not. Now, I've pruned it. It's 2/3 dead, but I'm going to leave it standing just to see if it does something this coming year. It's not top of my priorities. And we've got 2 apple trees which produced a lot of fruit, but it was all very, very small, and that was a lot to do with the drought this last summer. So we had 2 apple trees. Not entirely sure what that is. You know, it's a tree. This one here, though, well, that also is a tree that is predominantly dead. So, what do we do with dead trees? Well, I shall attack it, and yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what it... I'll take it down pretty much the same as I destroyed that one over there, and you know, maybe next year it might do something, or it might just be a case of take it all the way out. As you can see, it's got what we could describe as problems. Well, that was more interesting than I expected it to be. I should really have set the camera up on a tripod and filmed it as that came off. And I ran away, bravely of course, always facing the enemy. But you can see that this tree has well and truly had it. Well, that went, actually went to plan. That's scary, isn't it? I've got something sort of right. Yeah. Don't know how much longer that tree would have stood in a strong wind, but yeah, now the job is to convert it into firewood. Oh, what a lovely day. I've just been reading the doom and gloom weather forecast for England for the end of November. Shame really, but this is what we've got today. It's actually quite warm, and yeah, there's the orchard. I got the tree down as much as I wanted to for now. I'm going to leave it to spring and see if any of it does grow. I don't think it will, but it's not in my way. It can stay there until spring. While I'm here, I've got so much work to do. I should be getting on with it, but they just cheer me up seeing that rose. The graveyard is slowly getting bigger. I've been looking at other people's kitchen gardens, and you actually need quite a bit of space, Tom. You've got rows of leeks and all of that sort of good stuff. But I'm just going to stretch my legs and walk into the town. Well, I've been bending over, messing about with little bits of concrete. It hasn't gone exactly how I wanted it to, but what I'm going to do is leave it to dry off and just to straighten my back up and sort my knees out. I'm going to do some gardening, I think. While it's weather like this, it would be wrong not to, really, wouldn't it? Well, I came out and I dug a little bit, not a lot. One of the things that I am doing is anything that might be considered archaeology, I'm saving next to the hole that it came out of. There's nothing particularly interesting, but you know, it is interesting. Shows that people have been here for a while, but I don't get how you end up with little bits of china sort of in the middle of a garden. I'm sure there's a reason. Right, I'm going to go and cut some more firewood. Now, something that raised a comment is the device that I use for cutting little bits of stuff for splitting timber. I bought this at one of those wonderful brocants where you can buy junk for not very much money. I'm sure those markings mean something. Now, I like a tool like this because you can use the pointy bit for picking things up. And if you get it right, this will split timber. So when am I going to put you down? Hold on. Right. Piece of timber. Cleaver. That works, doesn't it? Now, when you want little thin bits, there's a trick that you place the blade where you want the split to be, and rather than risk chopping your finger off, you do it that way. That's what the beak is for. Right, there we are. Okay, time to go and light fires, I think.